5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're live with Neve.
All right. How's everybody doing today? It is Friday at 10 o'clock a.m. You're here live with Neve, and we're going to have a great day. We've got some excellent musical guests from here in New Jersey, and they are smoking. First up, we're going to have Ryan Gregg, who is just an amazingly talented gentleman, and he works with everybody in town, and I'll let him talk about that when we interview him and just hear a little bit of his playing. Then we have another equally an amazing talent. We have John Albino, who is the owner and proprietor of Bulletproof Music up in Hazlitt. He is a phenomenal multi-instrumentalist, just a ridiculous guitar player, and I like what he does. My good friend JR, who unfortunately passed in June, worked for him, and so I know we might talk briefly about JR because he's just the best, and God rest his soul. We've also have an excellent guest this afternoon. We have Wade Johnson will be on, who's here lurking in the shadows somewhere. And he is a killer musician from Austin, Texas. But we also have our regulars. Rich Ferrata will join us this afternoon. I don't think he's going to make it this morning. He's over in England, and he's the Marvel DC Comics. We love having him on with us in the morning, but he'll be here this afternoon. We have a rant in from Mike and Imperato. I don't know what Mike's complaining about, but I always just recommend that he calm down, take a cleansing breath, and just chill the fuck out. I'm sorry, Mike is an excitable boy, and I don't know, whatever he's taking, I don't want it. It's he's wired. So, Julie, come on and say hello with us. What are you doing down there in Tampa?
I am currently on Live with Neve.
Well, we're so glad you are. You're all smiley and perky today. I'm wondering, is that because of your new your secret admirer who's been sending you notes? Let's talk about him for a minute.
Do we need to bring Irish on too?
In a minute, but I've not gotten done making you uncomfortable yet. So
good.
Let's talk about. I know you look forward to this show all the time. I know you do. That cheerful, happy smile. Mm-hmm. And so we'll Mutt and Jeff him today. Shit! At any rate, sorry, I'm having problems today. I'm having a little bit of a seizure. Clusterfuck! I've recently found that I'm coming down with this unusual situation where I randomly just shout out obscenities. I'm trying to get a job on Cartman's show, South Park. At any rate, I may have Tourette's outbreaks throughout this show. I'm doing my best. Now, don't make fun of me. This is a serious problem, and I know somebody's going to get offended. If you have Tourette's, listen, man, I'm just poking fun. If you want to organize a boycott and become a fainting goat and just die because I said something remotely funny, I'm sorry. If I have Tourette's, I'd be laughing at myself. Just to be able to do that and walk in, walk in for mass. I'm sorry. My Roman Catholic background, they'd whip the hell out of me. I'm still afraid of that kind of thing. They're just all that, Gregorian chants.
I love Gregorian chants.
I do too. Actually, I really find them soothing. I listen to them when we're working sometimes. If I'm writing, sort of like makes me get the hair on my neck. I keep thinking there's a nun creeping up behind me and I'm getting flat shitless. For something, I thought impure thoughts. The one they got me for was even back then, I would bang on the table. relentlessly. And let's just say the nuns where I grew up in Paterson, New Jersey, were not very musically friendly other than with the chorus. And I was too afraid of them to actually join the chorus. But I wasn't as afraid. Here he is. Is Wade Toby, our girl in LA, who'll be coming on with us after the first of the year, giving our LA updates. But listen, let's see what Irish is up to. Where time is running, and let's see what's happening in Detroit.
So no more torment for me now?
You got out of that one, Jules. You shot it in just before you pulled me in. That was a slick one.
That was.
I was waiting. I was expecting what we were talking about this morning to be happening, and no, I mean the other thing.
Well, I mean, with Neil's Tourette's, and apparently you have a new stalker. I don't know if there's electrodes attached or not, but I mean,
that's what I
hey,
inquiring
Irish, we're going to have to watch this guy who's secret admirer. I think you and I might be taking, I'll call you, Irish, I'm downstairs. Get in the car. We're going downtown. We're going to go find Julie's stalker. Yes.
All right. I'll grab the pipe.
I'm going to bring, I'll bring the duct tape, bags, taser. Oh, you know what, Wade? I am an idiot. You are on Wednesday.
Sorry, I didn't even read it. I'm just clicking through.
I goofed up. No, that's okay. He is correct. We ought to just have him come on now while he's sitting here watching the show. I'm sure he's prepared for that. Now, Wade, let me just tell you, this guy is an exceptional player, and he's written a lot of great songs. He's got many stories to tell. So tell me, what's happening in Detroit, my funk brother?
Well, my friend, as you can see, I am mobile and I am wrapping the house. It is done.
All right. Will it be selling? Is it on the market officially?
It will be next week. It's getting punched now, and I got the cleaning lady in there. The plumber came out, charged me $435 for one part, and installed it. I cussed him, and yeah.
Oh, well. So tell me, how's the crime report in beautiful Detroit these days? Anything new this week? Murder of the week or anything like that?
Well, there was, let me see. There were several hit and runs, and, I think that's the new thing in Detroit, man. It's a hit and run. You hit somebody, you
mean pop them in the face and then run? Oh, wow. That's crazy, man.
It's rough.
I look forward to going back to Detroit. I haven't been there in decades, but just seems like such a fun place nowadays.
That's not bad. I mean, they got the casinos in town now, so that'll be interesting for you.
Yeah, but I'm not a gambler. In fact, I'm like to the right of Genghis Khan on that shit. I'd rather have a mobster doing the gangsterism. Borrow money or buy drugs. It's cheaper, and they're more reliable than anything the government ever did.
So you got some Tourette's going on? What's happening here?
Yeah. What do you mean?
Nothing, man. You sound great. You look amazing. Nobody will ever be offended. It's fine.
I'm trying my best, people. I'm taking medication. I have a vial of it next to me, and I'm doing my best. You're just going to have to bear with me.
I would like to actually see like an intellectual Tourette's guy like that, like just cusses in like 5-syllable words. That would be like the greatest thing I think I've ever seen in my life.
Why is this my life? Seriously, how'd this happen?
They warned you about me, Julie. They told you. They said he's a monster.
And I found out on my own, Sweetie Pie. We've known each other a very long time.
Yes, we have. And I'm amazed she stuck by me as a friend. The show would be absolute shambles if I didn't have her as a partner.
Oh, well, you're sweet. But who wouldn't want to hang out with you guys? I mean, you guys are the best. They're so much fun to hang out with. Yep, look at that. Yeah.
And multi-syllable Tourette's syndrome would be like, that would be a good thing, just like circumcised scrotum Thor, something like that.
Bullock.
We're going to get so many complaints and go to hell for this.
I hope they do. I hope somebody wants to come on and talk. We'll ask them about their condition. We have 4 minutes left in this Tourette's. We're starting it. Actually, you can send me money to Need Public Radio to fight Tourette's. Have you ever seen the Boondock Saints? There was a guy in there who had Tourette's, and he walks in the Catholic hospital, and he's walking in the door, he's like, cocksucker, motherfucker! And you see these nuns, they're like blessing themselves as they walk by.
Oh my God.
He was bringing those guys clothes and guns or whatever. He was a fine drunken Irishman, I tell you.
Hey,
What's
He's
wrong
the kind
with
of
you
guy that'll
guys?
punch you in the face, you know?
it happens. We don't mean to be like that.
I'm running out of things to Tourette on.
Well, that's okay. Well, why don't we let Mike rant for a moment, and then
Okay,
you
and
come
then
back.
we'll bring it back to these musical guests. I promise you I'll try to get this Tourette's under control.
Yeah, right.
Just stand by, okay, everybody?
There you go.
All right,
Ma-
reading the paper today on this phony freaking tablet, I see that Paul Rudd wins the People magazine Sexiest Man Alive award. Bullshit. Greatest participation trophy in the history of the freaking world. First of all, let me tell you something. Right now, the only guy that women are talking about is Rip. Rip on Yellowstone. They freaking love him. They're jerking off to him. They're talking about him. They're going to buy eggs. Oh, not the eggs you eat. First I said, what the hell do you need an egg for? Then I look it up. Oh, it's the egg that goes in there. Not the kind you put in your mouth. They're all wrong. I got to get a new vibrator. 20 million women were watching Yellowstone Sunday night. 4 million of them were masturbating during the freaking show. It's ridiculous. Oh, it's hot. Look at his boobs. Oh, Rip took somebody to the train station. Give me a fucking... So, let me tell you something. I'm not gay. But if I was gay, there's like 50 guys I banged before Paul Rudd. Oh, yeah, and Rip is at the top of the freaking list. Because he's hot. Yes. Just saying. Oh, does he dress left or right? What the fuck does that mean, does he dress left or right? So I gotta look that up. Because I guess I live in a cave because I don't know shit. So does his dick hang to the left or the right when you're looking at his jeans? Oh my God! Oh my God! This is what these women are doing on Sunday night. So it's so freaking ridiculous. How Rip was not voted the sexiest man alive, I have no idea. Oh, maybe because there's nothing but freaking lesbians working at People magazine. I don't know, because how does a woman who's heterosexual not vote for Rip for the sexiest man alive? Because I want to do him. That's it. End the freaking rant.
Hey, everybody. Well, as I've told you, then, the guy is an excitable boy. And
Okay, then.
I'm going to ask him if he has anything he wants to tell us secretly.
Well,
I don't think there's a secret about it. I mean, if Rip was around, he'd probably be getting the business.
I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know what women want in a man, obviously.
I'll tell you. I can tell
What
you.
do they want? What? House?
No. No.
New shoes?
No. Love, respect,
Affection,
honesty,
respect, honesty.
affection for you to be able to take part in her life and for her to be able to take part in your life so you guys can work together. And you guys essentially become one by sharing in
Isn't
each
that
other's lives.
It just sounds so great.
It does,
I'm a
doesn't it?
cynical guy, though. If you ever need a divorce attorney, I have a couple for you. So
Okay,
Then
so
there's that.
I have not been into the world very much in the last couple of years, just because of everything that's going on. So I have no idea who the fuck Rip Wheeler is. So
I don't either.
I had to look him up.
I'll bet you this:
Like
Sean
Mike said.
Connery would have whipped his ass at 65. He'd be like,
Oh,
"Oh, that's real sissy."
I don't know.
I mean, Sean Connery, I think, is just on general. It's women of my age group. I won't say we. I'm older.
Oh, he's not even a real person. He's a fictional character.
But everybody I've heard so many women tell me they thought he was smoking hot.
I've never heard
They'd
of him
do him in
until
a
today.
heartbeat.
I never
I'm
heard
still
of
kind
him
of
until
offended
now.
I wasn't on at least the top 10. Damn.
This is him? Are they for real?
Can you show us the audience what we're talking about? This goober? I have no idea who he is.
Well,
And why should I? Has he been in anything worth? There hasn't been a decent movie in years.
you can't see it. Sorry.
Okay, I can't see him. He's just a ghostly face. It's John Spear appearing before us.
But then there's
If
another
that's
picture.
the sexiest dude, I don't know. Kevin Sorbo used to be the standard.
Then there's a picture of him like that, if that's the case. And yeah, he is pretty hot,
Yay!
but no.
He's going to scream, "Silly!"
Yeah, well, that's why, Kevin was, Kevin's, still hot. We had him on it. I remember when he was asking us about, he couldn't remember Hugh Jackman's name for a sec. He's like, Wolverine, that dude.
Right.
And he's and all that stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I wanted to tell Kevin, I'm like, oh my God, Kevin, you were the Hugh Jackman before Hugh Jackman. You're still up there. You guys are like,
All he's got to do is put on that
beautiful
Hercules outfit and come out and kick
I'm
some
done.
serious ass.
That's
So
what I
you have a
was hoping
secret?
for.
Do you have a secret for him?
Oh my God.
I'm not even going there. What time
I'm
is
just
it?
asking. Do
Oh,
you,
it's break time.
Oh, it's break time. We're out of here. We'll be right back with our guest live with Neve.
Oh,
Wait, let me get
God.
to it. I've been spending too much time
All right,
being
what
an
happened?
asshole.
My highly paid team. You're letting me down.
Oh.
Man. I'm giving you a cue. Come on, work with me.
I gotta get to it first. Damn.
Was that a Tourette's wave?
Hey there, it's Kevin Sorbo here, and you lucky people, you are live. You're live with Nev or Neve or Nevi. I don't know. I can't say the dude's name. Anyway, you're on live with him, so I don't know. I guess that's a pretty good thing.
I'm Keith.
I'm Judy, and our company is Gone Country, and we design and produce our own really unique and fun cowboy hats. Keith and I have tried to create a business that's different by focusing on what's important to the customers. Our quality is so good that we offer a lifetime warranty on everything we sell. At the end of the day, if our customers are happy, we're happy. Check us out at GoneCountryHats.com.
Take a look at the sponsored artists and Gone Country Hats at GoneCountryHats.com to find your favorite artist's hat, like Juke Johnson, Sam Rourke, Neil, Jules, and more.
All right. Here we are on the east coast of this great continent. We are waiting for some New Jersey-based musicians. The next guy on our list here is Greg Ryan. Now, Greg is a multi-talented guy, and I'm just going to have him come on and talk about what he's up to these days. He's always busy. He's one of the best first call guys here, and we love him.
Hey, Ryan, how are you?
How you doing? First of all, it's Ryan Gregg, not Greg Ryan, but I appreciate the try.
That was my Tourette's cocksucker. Sorry.
How you doing, pal? Welcome to the melee.
How are you, Ryan? I see you all over. What's going on lately in your musical life?
Oh, just working, this and that. Lots of projects in the works. Lots of new people I've met over the pandemic across the world. So getting my hands in all kinds of cookie jars.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of. I'm glad to see some pickup in all my friends in the industry. It seems like I'm getting great reports from LA and Florida. Starting to see it here too myself in Asbury. The whole scene here seems to be like a year ago.
Detroit's
just
opening up also.
Yeah, definitely. But now here we are. It's winter again. It's kind of a bummer because it'll be cold soon. And 5 years ago on this date, I had a foot of snow on my porch, or 8 inches. It was, I have a depth perception problem from telling women that it's 8 when it's really 6, but that's another story. So tell me, what are you working on yourself personally? You have a solo project that you're knee deep in, or what are you doing with that?
I have 3 albums I'm working on currently.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is a solo album. That's just me and playing piano and singing, which I'm pretty excited about. It's just myself, and really just wanted something that was just me,
Very nice.
I'm also working on a new album with the Shady Street Show Band, which is my original project.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a
Great band.
9-piece horn band. We're doing all kinds of cool stuff with that. And that should hopefully be out by the early spring. And
Excellent.
I'm working on an album with Norman Selden. I'm producing.
Good friend of the show. We've had him on. We like Norm.
He just released his biography,
Mm-hmm.
his book, and I'm working on him on a collaborative album. Vinny Lopez is involved.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Timko, who's done work with the Miami Sound Machines, involved.
Mm-hmm.
Rick Brennemer, lots of really heavy duty guys that it's a pleasure to work with.
Wow.
And,
Excellent.
Big names in there. Wow.
yeah, it's a good time.
Well, excellent. That's definitely good to hear you. Stormin's great. Your band, the Shady Street Band's always fun. When you guys were doing it a long time ago, starting, down at the Chubby Pickle, I was like, oh, actually, you got a decent band this, when they'd come through and play. Not knocking the Pickle or their booking at all, but sometimes, what can I tell you? I like what I like. When I heard you guys, I was like, man, this band's good, Why am I not playing percussion with them? At any rate, that's a question for another time. So you want to play us something today, perhaps one of your new tunes?
Yes.
Sure.
Please. Yes.
Let me see if I can't. There we go.
Hey, I got to tell you, man, every time you play, I love ragtime, and you're just an amazing talent, and I don't bullshit people. If I didn't like you, I wouldn't call you all the time to come on the show. You're a really phenomenal guy, and that is beautiful. I mean, I was sitting there just grooving. The time changes, and you're just great. I mean,
Thank you so much.
I wish I'd hired you on many projects when I didn't know you.
You don't
There's
hear
a lot I
music
wish
like
I
that
had.
anymore.
No, and you've obviously studied long and hard, paid tons of dues, and you're excellent. I really appreciate you coming on. Rather than me sitting here, I would like to have you maybe play another song to ride out the this segment.
Sure. Why not?
I mean, it sounds way better than anything I can talk about. Believe me.
Yeah,
Especially with your Tourette's acting up such as it is.
Cunt fuck.
Nice work, man.
Thank you so much.
Nice work. Nice
I
work.
mean-
I mean, you just don't hear music like that anymore. And the training and the skill and understanding the modes and the time signatures, the stuff that people don't really understand, how much
I
work
would
goes
love
into
to
it.
just
Clearly-
play
clearly
trap.
You've mastered your craft.
Yeah,
Thank you.
he really, you are. And I can tell you, I just sitting there, I love playing, that kind of jazz, and I get an opportunity much because it's just not, most people can't handle it. And it's
And
like
that's
what I used to
tough.
do I used to practice by putting on ragtime or classical music, just put it on and I just play with it. I do it now, kind of work my hands since the accident. And it's amazing what you can do, like with just a piano and a drum kit, or a piano, drums, and a horn player, or a B3. Do you do any B3 playing? Do you ever do that?
Yeah, I do all that stuff.
That's what I figured.
I've been working as a session guy for years and years, and
Right.
I play in a surf rock band. I play in a swing country band. I've done work
Right.
in hip hop. I've done work in cover bands. And
Sure.
one of the things as a writer myself, it's song analysis. Thousands of song analysis in every single band that I've ever played in that I've
Right.
worked with. I write a chart for every single song I play with those bands. So I have
Right.
a master list of hundreds and hundreds of songs, chord changes,
Right.
and the last thing I played I actually have lyrics for.
Did you find that really challenging?
Well, it was a lot of fun. It was the first time in years where, when the pandemic happened, I lost my mind the first month, like everybody else.
Right.
The second month, I had the most intense period of writing that I've had in years and years. And that's when I wrote that song. And it was just me in front of the piano for 8 hours a day, just like looking at the MIDI score and saying, I like that note there. I don't like that note there. Why did I hold that note as long as I did? What chord I could say there? What's a better? And I make those, because I can play a song 50 different times live. But when you're looking at the score and you're really being intentional with every note you're laying down, it's a different thing. And I had a lot of fun. If I wasn't a musician, I'd be in construction, and yeah. But that's how I wrote it and then I built it,
Well, it's that grounds wheels up approach is it's not found, and I don't want to. There, a lot of old guys always rag on the young people, and they say, "Oh, the music will never be the same." But I find the opposite. You find a lot of creative young people, and I know old guys will always say it's no good, but everything evolves. It was like when the first ambient stuff came out. I thought it was kind of lame because it was just a lot of synth glides, but. If you listen to Brian Eno do it versus some guy who's just trying, but it got better and it's gotten much, I never crap on somebody's dreams,
and there's, I don't know if you know much about the Karmic Juggernaut guys, but those guys are motherfuckers, and they're doing crazy prog stuff. And I got buddies in the punk rock scene. I did an album about 6 or 7 years ago where my show band, we covered 3 of the punk band's tunes and they covered 3 of ours.
Oh, that's great. That's a really fun. I bet.
That's fun.
It was a blast. And my buddy who's in punk, his name's Matt Kyler. The band is called Hot Blood. He is low key a trained musician who knows all that shit.
Everything.
Punk is the paintbrush he uses. So
that's fun with me.
Yeah, he's writing really great songs.
That's something that's original, which finding any originality in most people's writing, it's the hardest thing to get. It's like I found that the people who are good, it's because it's like anything. Like I've been playing drums since I was a kid, learning in a garage, taking music lessons. And as you get older, your skills just get better. In fact, it's like justifying your rate. Well, how come you're worth $150 an hour? And I'd be like, I'm going to come in and do it, and I'll be out of there probably in an hour. You'll save studio time. And I when I had my studio, I would frequently, if people hit the wall with their band, I'd have to have that delicate conversation where you say, the guy who's in charge, I'd find the alpha and say, look, you know, your horn player's done this 27 times. We've spent hundreds of dollars. How about I just get my friend in? I'm doing some horn sessions next week. I promise you, you'll be happy. And I'd never had anybody kick back a session musician when I had to pull somebody off the project. And, you know, nobody has fun doing that. It's not fun. It's just part of the job of producing a band. But let me ask you, we're going to be going to a break real quick. We are going to have John Albino up, tremendous guitar player. Do you want to hang around for a while?
Yeah, I'll hang.
Okay, maybe in the end set after we hear everybody. We're going to go to a break. We have the Richness on, who we did not think he's coming to us from London. He's going to be on just for 5-10 minutes. And then we're going to bring on John, who I think you'll find an amazing guitar player, just a tremendous musician in general. Okay, so Julie's out. I'm running the show here. Come on.
Hi, this is Leland Sklar, and I am hanging with Neve, and I am having the best time.
Hi, I'm trumpeter Greg Adams, and I'm live with Neve.
All right, our Tower of Power guy. So, all right, I'm sorry doing all that mental work. I've got messages here from Jules. No, yeah, it is a great hang, man. It is. So everybody watching, you're on Live with Neve, and we're bringing Rich Parada from DC and Marvel Comics on. He's going to be on for a little bit and then hang in the back and make hopefully sarcastic comments. Fucking Tourette's syndrome. So let's just go and bring on the Richness for a minute.
Oh, shit.
Hey, Rich, ready. What are you doing?
You're always ready.
Where the hell did he go? You turned off your camera, man.
I don't know.
I did? No, I didn't turn off
is.
my camera. That's some technical difficulties on your end and shit.
Oh,
Fuck.
it probably is. Cut. I mean, sorry. It's just, I don't know what happened. I woke up this morning. My girlfriend looked at me like I was out of my mind. She's like, what are you doing? Me.
She's not wrong.
She just left in a hurry with a worried look in her eye.
Friend.
She was just like, I'm out of here. You know, the poor girl, she puts up with me, and I just love her to death. If I hadn't had her in my life, God knows, man. Somebody's got to keep order in my chaos, and she's good at it. The Richness, what are you drawing us today?
Well, since you have an afternoon.
Oh, what the hell? Technical difficulties. Sorry, man. Go ahead.
I'm standing by. Don't worry. Anyway, so what I'm doing later tonight for the evening show is I will be drawing Janis Joplin.
Ah,
all right.
I will
awesome.
draw Janis Joplin for the entirety of the show, and I'm going to have a lot of fun doing it. And just to gear myself up so I could be inspired for it, I'm going to listen to a whole bunch of all of Janis Joplin's music. Just
very nice.
I can
very nice.
Get
everybody, you have to love Janis.
Well, you see, go ahead.
I was just having a little bit of a problem hearing you. How about let's see you draw something, man? Because I can't wait to see what you do.
What now? I got. Oh man!
You can work on that lovely portrait of me that you were doing.
The only way that I could do that, my phone is charging at the point. I usually use my phone just to make sure that I can have everything.
No problem. I
don't know where it is. I have to
okay.
I gotta find it. I also did some house cleaning in my studio a little bit because it was just mess all over the damn place.
Well, that's why I'm up here in my living room. My studio right now is in a state of disrepair, but will be much better. I'm rearranging all the video gear, and it will be like a real brand new studio. So I'm looking forward to it. Well, listen, Rich, you're going to be on at 4 o'clock, correct? My time, 4 o'clock?
I will be. Absolutely, 100%.
Oh, okay.
Your time, 4 o'clock. Did you guys have daylight savings time last week?
Yeah, we did.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so now you're 5 hours behind me once again because in the UK, the daylight savings time is a week early. So before that, when it was 5, for a while it was 4, but now it's 5 again. So yes, I'll definitely be here. Absolutely.
All right.
And I'll have my camera trained on my artboard where I've already laid out the image that I'm going to use for Janis Joplin. And
cool.
Yeah. We're going to see some magic happen as soon as I get on there.
Join us at 4 o'clock with the Richness. Hey, man, have a good day. We're glad you stopped in.
I
Just say
shall.
hello, and we're gonna get on. We're gonna have a great guitar player on. So if you can hang around, stick around. All right, I see Jules is back here lurking in the shadows. I'm going to go ahead and bring on the one, the only, John Albino. Hey, buddy.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Good morning.
I'm feeling great. Have we scared you off yet? Is the show disturbing in any way?
No, I'm just drinking it all in, and I just took a Pepto-Bismol. We're good now, man.
I love it.
That's what we need.
That's what we
First
need.
thing in the morning.
Getting those gastric juices flowing live with Neve, everybody. They have to follow my health routine, which is basically look out my window at the ocean. No, I'm kidding you. My training routine is pretty lame. I just worked on my shoulders because I broke one. Other than that, I play drums. That's usually my preferred form of exercise, and I think the best one. So, John, you've had an amazing career, and I'm curious, like, how did you start this whole musical journey you've been on for so long?
Well, I just wanted to meet girls, and
me too.
Then there's that.
It was just listen. It was something. My parent looked. We can go into this, crazy story, why everybody did it. But basically, my parents got me guitar lessons when I was 12 years old, and it was just something I wanted to try. And I came from a musical family, so that was actually a plus. I could go to my grandfather,
for sure,
who was an amazing guitar player, and I mean that's basically how it happened. All through my life, I played a lot of sports, and it was always sports music, and then I just made a decision that this is something that I really enjoyed and I wanted to do, and I had a lot of support from my dad, who just basically said you really should just do what you want in your life, and that's really what it came down to.
What a great dad you had. My mom was like that, and I went carting off to Blue Man Group and trying to get in the Berlin cast, and I was 40. I was the oldest guy there, which was pretty interesting to me. It was a good time.
It was a great story.
It was pretty cool. And what I did, though, I was over there for a couple of weeks, and I basically sat outside the door for about 20 auditions. And I had spent 3 months learning every note on every album they had. I studied really hard. I would practice along with every one of their albums to the point where when first day I walked in, I sit down and the drum major comes over. He goes, this song is called Mandelbrot, and I'm going to give you the count. I said, we don't need to worry about the count. How about I count you in? And he goes, you're feeling very frisky, huh? And I'm like, oh, yeah. I said, I'm ready to do the matinee today if you want. I said, you just put me on one of the drum cages and I'll be fine.
You were the blue guy, right?
No, I was one of the drummers. I should have been one of the blue guys.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, though, I'd rather be just a normal drummer, if there's any such thing out there as a normal drummer. But yeah, I think being in the cage, you don't have to get made up every day and sitting in there for another hour before the gig. It's pretty much, if you're doing it, you walk in 6 o'clock, you just do a rehearsal for an hour and you go on and do the show. And it's the same every night. After a while, people, it's hard to say you get bored because there's a lot of funny things that would happen in the show when we drag people out of the audience and humiliate them and stuff. But that's a great show. If anybody's out there and hasn't seen it, I highly recommend it. I don't even know if it's still running in Manhattan anymore. I haven't looked for it because of the COVID.
Yeah,
I'm thinking that whole thing might have gotten shut down at the initial phases of COVID. And I know Broadway is slowly coming back, but it's a long way from healthy.
Yeah, that's for sure. Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
So tell me, what was your first paid gig?
Oh, first paid gig. Gosh. It was probably some, little teeny tiny tavern. When I was probably about 14. And I just thought that was the greatest thing ever when you're 14 years old, the fact of money and being a musician don't really go together. It's like, son, you're going to either have to do one or the other. And I'm pretty sure it just started like that. And then I think our band just took that money and bought, a really teeny tiny PA system, and then everything worked from there. So we just kept investing, pretty much just like Bulletproof Music Studio.
Of course. That's what do you do when you can't play good enough? Buy another guitar.
I just I resort to cooking.
You buy another guitar.
Please Please, please, we really can't go down that road.
I know. I will just go down it briefly. My girlfriend, I have about half a dozen upstairs, and then I don't know how many there are, but back when I was in the acquiring mode, as far as kind of weeding things out a few years ago, I was like, she'd go, "Is that new?" I go, "Oh, no, it's been up there in the closet, for a year." And I'm like, please, I hope she didn't remember this one. But my girlfriend is like your parents. We're simpatico in all things. That's why we're together. Being in the music business, it's hard to have a good family life. And I'm thankful I have a great family life. And it's just had enough time roaming the roads and doing crazy things. It's just there's a time to enjoy life more than, it's not really fun when you're young if you're doing too much partying and crap like that.
Well, listen, man, you're very lucky. If you're in that kind of position right now, I think you're very, very, very much a lucky guy.
Well, I am totally lucky guy. I mean, just luck and working hard. I mean, anybody who's out there trying to quit any addiction, it's not an easy thing, but it is. There will be a switch, and everybody watching this, if you have a problem, even if you haven't admitted to yourself or others, that switch will turn one day. And when it does, it's like it really has to be from Lord above or something, because when that switched my brain to never do it again. And I've been going on 3 years now, and I'm thrilled because it just feels great. And hell, my bar tabs are non-existent. You can buy a lot of guitars, for paying for the band and everything. But onward and upward, how many years were you out practicing your craft before you start doing real Christian music? Modern Christian.
Basically, right up to about 2000, probably about 2007, and just being out on the road and of course doing records and working with a lot of my heroes. I was very, very lucky. I was very, very lucky guy.
Who are some of the heroes you got to work with?
Well, just people from Wings, the Pretenders, Kiss. It's funny too because you're never really ready for these questions. But
oh no, that's okay. That's Billy the point,
Squire, though. Billy Squire. A lot. And again, so blessed to be able to do those things.
Right. It brings you up a level real quick when you start to rise up. The plateaus might get longer, but once that ascension, I feel like everybody gets that lift under their wings, and you feel so positive about it, and you learn so much if you're teachable.
The one thing that was interesting about working with these people is that it wound up being your job, and so when you're in the thick of all of it, it's your job, and it's not that you don't appreciate it. It's that this is what I do, and it's nice you actually take a situation like that and you accept this as your job, and it's only literally later on when you start thinking to yourself like, holy cow, I've been just so lucky to do.
Oh, absolutely. Sure.
And I think back on it now, and it's funny. Believe it or not, I just don't even talk about it that much. I've always been a guy who actually wanted to always constantly move forward.
Exactly.
And it's only like when Neil, it's only like when guys like you who press me or ask me, is that we actually really do talk about it. But I'll tell you what, again, I would tell you at this point in my life, it's been a blessing, and it's nice to remember things. And it's funny too, because you remember a lot of things that are great, and then you remember things that when you were dealing with these people that were not so great. And that's where it's very, very strange, where we would be playing, where I would be out and somebody would show up. And I could tell you two episodes with Alice Cooper, but at one point or another, you actually got where somebody said, why don't you go talk? They would come out, they'd be backstage, and why don't you go talk to them? And after a while, I started getting like, I'm not sure I want to do this. And then would be a little, because you just don't want to be let down, because these guys are your heroes. And if they, and trust me, there were times when some of these guys would do certain things, And it would remember, these were the guys who influenced you, and they would just crush you. They would just crush you right on the spot. They wouldn't do anything personally to you, but it would be certain things that they would do, and you're like, oh, this just does not sit right with me. So, so there was the good and bad for that kind of stuff. But I mean, listen, the experience, you can't, you can't buy experience like this. It's been an amazing journey.
When those walk-ups happen to me, they're magical moments. I've had them. I played with Bo Diddley, and that was kind of interesting. It was a real quick pickup thing. A friend of mine was a horn player, and he toured with him. Bo lived in Florida and has, at the time, I'll just say, Bo had a complicated family situation, multiple heirs, and he finally, when he got his Grammy or whatever he did, he came back with an album that boosted his career up again, and it was great because he was able to get money back. He'd had a family that kind of drained a lot of his assets, and he finally was like, "Throw him out," and he threw out a bunch of people. I don't know who they were. I don't want. And he blossomed again, and it was exciting for my friend watching him getting to play with Bo and all these award ceremonies and stuff. It's kind of cool. And those moments just feel great. I mean, have somebody come on. I jammed with like Greg Allman a couple times, and it was back when Greg was a little lubricated, we'll say. And so he wasn't the nicest guy that night, but we did, we got through the couple of tunes, and he was just upset that we didn't know Whipping Post, which I know Whipping Post, and I can sing it while playing the drums, very well. And I'm like sitting there going, well, I'm not singing it with Greg Allman in the house. There's no way,
Yeah.
He was,
I get you, and it's funny too, is when you think about these things, people have always asked me too, is did you ever have the moments, the what was I thinking moments? And there were two of them. I was working with a producer, one of the legendary producers. His name was Charlie Midnight, and I was working with him on a new artist, and I was very lucky. He wound up calling me back for a few lessons. At the end of one, he actually came to me, and I couldn't have been more than, I don't know, probably 21 or 22. And he said to me, listen, man, he goes, I got a couple artists that are looking for songs. And, and I was very lucky. I was writing songs back then. And they said, and they're looking for songs, and I'm going to ask you, do you have anything that you want to submit? And I said, who are they? And he said, one is Johnny Winter. The other one is the Doobie Brothers. And I turned around and I actually said, Charlie, I would really love to. I said, but I'm just too busy. And that may be one of the most stupid things I've ever done in my career. It was funny because that year the Doobie Brothers had the biggest comeback record.
Oh gosh.
And
what album was that? I'm trying to remember which version of it was. About what year was that? 70s?
You know what? It was somewhere in the 80s. It might have been like the mid 80s. And but I
that's I remember because Don Felder moved down to Florida. He was down there with us Florida Man, and the whole thing about the Florida Man is just that people call up and ask you what your name is, and I decided my new moniker, just because it's such a prevalent thing in the press, the Florida Man. Somebody I don't know just walked in, and I'll be like, they go, "Hi, what's your name?" "I'm Florida Man. You might have read about me in the paper lately." It always just sets a cheery tone in the first meeting, especially when you're asking for money from someone.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
But, we keep it. Yeah, well, we kind of keep it lighthearted, and as you can tell, we pretty much make fun of anything we can and just have fun doing it. We never mean to hurt anybody. For those of you out there who are, what is the word, triggered? We don't mean to trigger you. We're trying to educate you, make you stronger, make you into a better beast, just like the rest of us.
No doubt. No doubt.
So, well, while we're sitting here, I've just decided we're going to host a commercial break. For everybody watching, we are here live with Neve, with John Albino, and we're talking about rock and roll and the golden years of rock and roll, the 70s and 80s and 90s. There's just so much tremendous music being made. And I can go back to the 60s and 40s, but I love it all. And I've played it all too. Like you, I started making my first paycheck as a kid. And it was way easier than walking that paper route in the winter up in Patterson, New Jersey, or Halden, where I lived. And when I realized I could actually get it was good money back then, hell of a lot more than my paper route for one day. I might have got 20 bucks sometimes. I did work all month and chase Mrs. Shivitz down the street. my mom would come right around and tell me that Mrs. whoever had missed her paper. And I said, well, she hasn't paid me for a month. So I just stopped delivering. But she'd go up there when I'd go to knock on the door. I learned a lot about business as a paper boy. People will diss the paper boy. It's hardly any money, but you'll knock on the door and they know they owe you. And then they call and complain when you don't drop it off after them, like 3 weeks. So I told my mom, I'm like, tell Mrs. Jones when she pays her bill, give her my address. She can mail a check. And it was funny, but it gave me a good idea. It's like the music business. We always hear these great stories. People want to offer you the moon. And I had a very good entertainment lawyer at Full Sail, who's Alfred Schlesinger, who's handled everybody in the biz, Madonna, Rolling Stones, all these major acts. And he cautioned us. He said, anytime you sign a music business contract, read the first 2 pages, go to the last 15. He said, because they will spell out what they're going to give you up front. It's going to sound really good. They're going to write it in a way that it sounds like a huge advance, and you don't realize it's an advance when you're in your 20s. And I have lots of guests I've had on who are, famous people who now live really poorly because they got kind of cheated out of their money, and that was common in those days.
Well, it's funny because it's not only common in those days, but the 2 things that we actually realize, and this could, after your commercial break, could bring us into Bulletproof Music Studio, because it's a great example.
Absolutely.
The two things that are very hard, and I know the other musicians hopefully are listening in, and they most likely would agree with me, is that the 2 things that are really hard to put together are being a musician and being good at business.
Yes.
Because being a musician is really all about the passion, everything that you want to do, and literally you're almost ready to, you're almost ready to sign off your life just to be able to have a piece of being something that people told you couldn't be.
Right. Absolutely.
So it's so hard. People, one of the big, probably one of the greatest, and I don't want to hold you. One of the greatest examples of this was a guy named Jim Croce, who had hit after hit after hit. I mean, he just kept, and he would be on all the big shows, the Midnight Rock show, the Midnight Special. He would be on, Don Kushner's rock concert. He would be on In Concert. He was everywhere, and he made no money. And unfortunately, he had wound up passing away in a plane accident.
I remember.
But
I saw him before he passed, and it was, I was a real young kid. It was one of my earlier concerts, and it was just like, I loved him. I had his album, and played drums on it for enough to annoy my parents, and that they'd let me go to the music store and buy another album. But
well, like I said, that's another great guy that you may want to speak with and look him up. Is a guy who's actually working here at Bulletproof. He's one of the legendary songwriters. He actually was one of the big songwriters in the Music Building in New York City.
Oh man, and bro.
Yeah, and his name is Billy Terrell. Now, Billy Terrell is a guy that you would definitely want to speak to. I know this is supposed to be about Bulletproof and everything that I'm doing, but I've always been, an advocate of, trying to help others and
make
know what everybody else is doing.
Sure.
But Billy was one of the big songwriters. He worked with everyone, including, guys like Frankie Avalon. He wrote, big songs. He did arrangements, and he was the one who even had told me, he said, without good representation, you're going to be taken advantage of. It's really a tough situation, but that is something that I would like to talk to you about when it comes to the studio and what we've done.
Well, excellent. Well, this is what we're going to do. We have about 4 minutes till the break. Would you like to play something for us?
Well, I can. Well, we have so much to do. By the way, Neil, I really would like to get you to come to the studio and really see what we have here.
I would definitely, because I've been there many times with JR, and I'd love to come there and hang out and just do it. It'll be a great show. Sometimes the technical things. Today it just happened that I had some car issues this week. When you have two Jaguars, you need one because the one will always run and the other one will always be in the shop, or vice versa.
So I absolutely believe that. Well, speaking of which, we were talking before. I brought this guitar out because this is actually my workhorse guitar. It's a Taylor 914, and I would like to just play a quick piece of one of the songs that are on my next record, which will the release date will be December 11th. It's called "Sign of the Sun," and it is right there.
All right, I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah, and
very nice.
And it's by a band called John's Crossing, which in turn I always feel like is more like a Christian Led Zeppelin. And
yes, I have heard some of the stuff you did with JR over the years, and it was great. It's obvious. I'm really glad to actually know you now, rather than like some guy JR works with. We met a few times when I was in there tracking, but I know how it is. You have customers, and I can't remember anything anyway.
Well, it's not even so much that. It's that if I'm not, I look at it like if nobody's coming in and asking me to play, I out of courtesy to the artist, which would be you, I just leave you alone, because I just think that's the right thing to do. If you need me, you could always just walk through the door and come see me.
Right.
So what you have here is there's a song called "He's the Universe," and I'll just play the beginning of it. This was one of JR's favorite songs. So to give you an idea, like I said, we're a pretty hard rocking band, but we also had a lot of acoustic stuff. So it's like.
Bravo, man. That is just a really great sounding guitar.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We're here live. I'm with John Albino at Bulletproof Music, and we're going to be right back. We're going to have an extra segment today because he's worth hanging over, and we love this guy. You can hear it. That guitar sounds splendid. Really cool.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. Well, hey, man. I don't do that. I'm done. Let's see who we have here. Julia's MIA, but we're going to bring on.
Melting flake of snow this year. I won't be sad to see it go.
Hi, I'm Darren F. Flynn, a singer-songwriter from Ireland, and I'm on Live with Neve.
I would have said it couldn't happen here. The people we
Hi everybody, this is Donna Frost and I'm live with Neve. See you soon.
Hi, this is Leland Sklar and I am hanging with Neve and I am having the best time of my life.
Live with Neve, Fridays on the East Coast from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.
All right, Live with Neve. Here it is, 11 o'clock on the East Coast. It's a rainy, gray day, and I'm loving it. I'm here talking to John Albino of Bulletproof Music, and you're the kind of guy I could just sit and hang. Like JR, I know you worked with him a lot. Him and I were the nerds of our classes at Full Sail. Sit down, when I got working at the same studio, we'd listen to the Beatles tracks. I'd have my book by the producer. I'm having a brain fart, 60s moment. George Martin. I had a book called All You Need Is Ears, hard to get. And I had all the track sheets. And when we were working together, we got talking and I said, I do that all the time when I was in school. I'd, analyzing music and picking it apart into its pieces. And I was like, I thought I was the only nerd out there who did this. But we ended up doing it at the studio when we had Uri 813Bs and nobody was in the studio for the night, and we'd go in and record our shit. And but it was fun. Getting back to your studio, tell us a little bit about it. When you started, what made you decide to start it, and how you've succeeded so long?
Well, what happened was I had noticed that. I mean, and listen, and I'm sure, like I said, the other musicians on your panel, they could probably tell you the same exact thing. So when I wasn't on the road, I would come home, and one of the easiest ways to quickly make money, and especially if you had a good reputation, and praise God, I used to get away with that. And
you're a humble guy. I like that.
I would teach. And I realized how much I did like to teach, and I actually really enjoyed it. So what happened was I wound up getting married, and at that point, everything just kind of, no, kidding. I wound up getting married, and
okay. How old were you?
In 1995, I wound up getting a phone call for Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, and I had gotten. There was a recommendation. The last time I was out on the road, I was on the road with Dave Stewart's wife. She had a band from the Eurythmics, and he came out, and he was a pleasure. He was great, and he came out with Jeff from ELO.
Wow!
So around that time, those guys were probably, if you remember, they were probably the biggest producers around at that point.
Oh, right. Yeah, for sure.
Right. So it was the mid 90s, and they had come out, and of course, Dave came out to see his wife, and of course, Jeff Lynne came with Dave, and so that was really a thrill, because you could tell that these guys they're standing there, and they were just really nice guys, very nice guys. Slash came out, Axel came out. We could talk about that another time, but those guys were really great guys. And he had just said that he enjoyed the performance. And I said, great. So shortly after that, I had gotten a phone call from Electric Ladyland Studios. And, I don't want to go too far into it, but what happened was, apparently Dave had told Robert and Jimmy, and this is the quote I got: "I seen this kid on the road, and he would be, the right guy for you at the time." Of course, my hair's down to here.
Of course, right.
The big hoop.
You had the look. We all did.
Yeah. So,
hey, do you still wear spandex pants?
If I can get in it.
All right. Right answer.
I had gotten a phone call. And what happened was, Plant and Page at the time, their guitar player, they had an extra guitar player, and Jimmy was playing a lot of the acoustic stuff at that time.
Cool.
So their guy was leaving, and I had gotten a phone call about it, and basically Plant and Page, whether they were Plant, Page, or Led Zeppelin, every time they came to New York, they would always do, if you remember, 3 shows. 1, 2, 3. They would do 3.
Yeah.
So I had gotten a message that Dave was looking for, I guess, me, because he had seen me.
Right.
So he tracked me back to Electric Ladyland, where
I see.
That's what well, where was this guy? Like, where did he come from? Because once I split, I went home. And so anyway, so long story short, they tracked me there. And I was given a pass for the 3 nights. Like, there's going to be, you'll be at your passes and your team will be at Will Call, and you're going to have a pass to go backstage. And it was an interesting thing because it was coming up, and I literally had a week.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, I wound up getting enough, and it sounds so funny because you're married. I wound up getting enough courage to try and tell my wife. And so she had come home on the night that I decided I was finally going to tell her, because I had gotten an offer to play with Joe Lynn Turner, and I turned it down. And then right after that, this came up, and then I was going to tell her, and she came home that night to tell me that she was pregnant. So
wow.
it was a very defining moment. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had run back to Electric Ladyland and said that Robert and Jimmy, they do 18-month, tours, and they don't really come off the road.
Right.
So it really came down to, what do I decide I want, that is
Mm-hmm.
going to be the right thing to do. So,
absolutely.
Well, yeah, but I handled it very bad. I didn't even call them back. And that was a real, 5 years later, those guys got in touch with me and basically just thought, he said, we thought you died. And so that was it. So I actually took a day job, and that was really hard because at that given point, no checks, no more. No checks are coming in. Okay, no more playing. I gave up all my playing, and I took a day job to get benefits. And it's funny because I don't really mind telling this story because most people like to make it seem like, well, it's been an easy, sleazy life as a musician, but bottom line is I gave it all up, and while I took that, I started teaching again. And then we just started building. And at one point I had gotten enough students. I couldn't take it any more students from where I was. And I actually wound up renting out a place. And from that went 1 room to 2, 2 went to 3, 3 went to 6. And then we moved downstairs, and 6 went to 9, and a recording studio. And then we left that place, and now we're in this place, which is a
great facility
situation. And really that's how it actually happened. Quality right across the boards, as far as teaching is concerned, but we've done so much more. I know probably one of the next questions that I would probably ask is who has come through here as of recently. Bands like Lacuna Coil came through here, guys from Overkill. MOD just finished their record here.
Excellent.
Yeah, and the Wizards of Winter, which is up near your area, those guys seem to do a lot. They're a touring band that does. They're almost like a classical metal Christmas show.
Okay.
So they wound up doing their record here. In fact, Fred, who's a guitar player, he'll be here on Sunday. He's going to be doing a lot more recording here. Great guy, great guitar player.
Nice.
So, we've been really, really busy. And plus, we have a lot of solo artists that come through here.
Sure.
And listen, we are now a 4-camera shot. We've been doing tons of videos.
Nice.
The room can handle it. It's got a huge light show, 6,000 watts in the room. I want to also let you know that we have our LD, which is our lighting director, is Louis DeBella, who was the lighting director for Aerosmith, and he's not on the road anymore.
Excellent.
He's with us
Very
now.
nice.
Excellent. And we've got some great engineers. Eric Rachel, platinum recording engineer, and probably your guys out there. You probably know Eric.
I'd like to actually have an introduction. I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah, he's a pretty amazing guy. In fact, it's so funny through this. He's been texting me about, can I have this date? And I'm like, I just have to ignore it at this point. But live streaming here, we also do shows. We're doing shows. We got a bunch of shows coming up. JR, getting back to JR, he was by far one of my most favorite guys. A very, very such a pro.
Yes, absolutely.
But as time went on, he became very, very, very selective.
Absolutely. Well, I understand that too, because him and I had talked about it over the years. And when I moved back to New York, I had reached out to him. I was working at Muzak, but I wanted to get him up here to work with him. And so I kind of helped him get up here eventually. But it took 5 years after I got to New York. And I was like, dude, you're out in freaking Detroit. What are you doing in that cold, shitty? And he was doing, what's the guy's name? He's an activist. Michael Moore, that's who it was. And I said, you're up there getting paid shit to work on this crap in the middle of winter. It's like 5 below zero. I said, it's only 32 here, man. Come on down. And the rest is history. He worked for my ex-wife, not my ex-wife, excuse me, my girlfriend's recording label. They have a catalog, and so we were having him do work for us on the catalog as well, updating and editing and doing all that kind of thing. So I miss the hell out of him every time I sit down at a console. And I can tell you, one of a kind.
He was, I'll tell you what, he was really amazing. We used to share stories. One of the stories, Neil, I might have told you a little about, but it was an interesting thing. JR, he, at the end, I would have to say for the last 6 months of his life, he became extremely selective, and he became extremely artistically impatient.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
And he just, we were throwing him a lot of work, and he had said to me basically, maybe you should get someone else to do this. And I it kind of just flipped me out a little bit.
I kind of said to him at the time, wherever you are, JR, there's a Coke in the fridge, so don't worry, man. We love you, and we're not talking bad. But he expressed that about going out to play and doing the cover thing, and so I shifted gears because we've been together. We've been friends a long, long time, and I know how he worked. I miss just working with him just because it was such a good relationship. We kind of thought the same way a lot of the time, and I didn't have to. And also, he just knew me and knows how to speak Neil, so to speak.
He like I said, he got very, very. We had enough work for him, but he became very, very impatient with the artist that he was dealing with. And then, even at one point, he seemed to be giving me a hard time because I guess I was throwing him a lot of work, and I had to put a lot of stuff off that I was personally doing for the sake of the studio. And when that happens, you have to, you got to check your ego, at the door and take what's going on as far as work is concerned. This is what this recording studio was made for. Okay?
Exactly.
So what happened was we got into a situation, and where I had promised. I remember these stories. I had promised someone that
one more to go
song for them ready to go, and of course, because of the situation, long story short, I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I had 1 week. The week was upon me to come up with this one song, and it had to, and it had to have a theme to what it was for an award show, and it had to have a theme. So I waited to the last minute. I actually took the drummer from John's Crossing, and I actually booked time. And he said to me, "What do you got for me?" I said, "I don't have anything." And he goes, "What do you mean you don't have?" I go, "I got nothing."
Oh, boy.
Show up. I'm just going to pray a whole lot, and I'm going to come up with something. So what happened was I went in. JR knew this. 72 hours in 3 sessions, we had the song. Neil, I got to tell you something. I had to be blessed. I can't even figure out how this song even came out the way it did.
Wow.
And, that seemed to pump him.
Yeah. I remember him mentioning it to me, that he told me, this is how it's supposed to be. Like, this is a great session. And I heard that session.
Well, what he said was an interesting thing, guys. Musicians that are listening, JR was a veteran, and he
gave a shit big time.
And he demanded to be part of the elite. That's what he wanted. So he had come to me, and he looks at me, and if you know JR, he's sitting there, and he's like tapping on the board. He's going, you see, he goes, see, I'm happy now. Now I'm happy. He goes, this was a great session. And he kept it up and kept it up and kept it up. I think what pumped him was the fact that we were completely under the gun. And somehow or another, we were able.
It's a crucible. It tends to be like a diamond getting crushed out of charcoal when you have that momentum, and it's a great feeling. I had it with him. I used to just love to look at him when he was actually digging something. And I mean, believe me, when I worked with him, he'd get annoyed as hell. And sometimes, because I know him good, I would tweak him on purpose just to just I'd go, oh, are you being pissy with me? I said, come on, Jared, man. It's just, you know me, man. Come on, forgive me. And I'd just terrorize him a little bit. He'd go, oh.
And he just said to me, he goes, you know, he kept saying to me, this is what I want to do. This is it. This is what I do. And he was very complimentary. You know, he was just, you know, he was a very, very, you know, he had his points, but he was just so happy. And he said, this is what I want to do. And I said, but I can't promise you this all the time. You know, nobody can. Queen.
I used to tell him even when it was a little lean. I know JR down to the, you know, every bit about him, and like we made a great team because I talk way too much and he'd talk quietly, but we were, you know how opposites attract. Like he knew, like over the years, I remember one time he told a bunch of people in a band we were in, they were like, oh, you know, Neil, like he's like doing this, you know, everybody rags on the band leader. I don't care, you know, it comes with the territory. I've been in bands my whole life, and whoever's the boss is frequently a lightning rod. And I get it. I've been in that spot too, bitching about the guy dropping us. I had a guy, an Elvis dude I worked with, which was a horrifying experience in itself, but he'd always stop. We had dinner in our contract. When we get there, we'd be like driving from Tampa to Bradenton or Sarasota or somewhere. And he'd stop at this hideous restaurant called Grandy's. And Grandy's was this barbecue style slumgullion it looked like hazardous waste when they brought it out. And, you know, keeping your band happy means feeding them good. That's like the most important part of the day sometimes, especially when you're broke. Well, we like erupted one time. You get a picture of this show. We've got an Elvis thing, and we have a Hawaiian luau show with fire dancers and chicks running around. It was crazy. Got paid more money for doing those crazy gigs than a lot of things you do. It was just like, but we hated working with Elvis. He was a nightmare, a crazy guy. He literally fired me on the way home from a gig because he was shooting a gun out the window they had just built Interstate 75, so it went down through the middle of the swamps. And we're driving, and he's shooting at a sign, and I'm in the back asleep. And as soon as the gun went off, I was like, whoa. And I said, what are you doing? What the hell's going on? And he's like, oh, I hit the sign that time. And I was just like, oh, God, I've got this drunken Elvis preacher. And he literally was going to put me out on the road because I told him to quit screwing around. I said, I don't want to go to jail tonight. I had to suffer through your show today. It was bad enough. And I said, we're not going to fucking Grandy's anymore. And everybody in the band was like, yes, no Grandy's, fuck Grandy's. We want to go to the Chinese buffet or whatever, you know. And it was one of those crazy people you meet. But because I told him to knock it off, I said, he turns around, he goes, what if I just throw you out here? I said, well, you can do that. I said, it won't, you know, I hope it never happens. It hasn't happened before. And then I looked at the guy driving, it was a friend of mine, the bass player who would be the contractor. And I said, I'll tell you what, you put me out on the road right here, and I'm just going to sit here till sunrise. And when the cops come by, I'm going to tell them what happened. And they're going to call my family or whatever. And I told the guy driving, I said, if you put my ass out here on the road, we will never gig again together, ever. And I told the guy who ran the show, this goober, drunken lunatic, I said, as for you, I don't need to see you again. And if you ever, and I said, as far as the guy driving, I was like, if you put me out here, man, I promise you, you'll poison my spirit, and I will do my best to make sure you get no gigs. He looked at Elvis and said, we're dropping him back at the hotel. So we turned around. I get dropped off at this hotel with a breakfast. The restaurant's open. I've got my long hair, you know, the girls think I'm a cutie. So I pull up there and I get a cart, you know, like you bring into the hotel, and I load all my drums on it, trap cases. I go in and order breakfast, and they're all kind of giggling. They're like, oh, look at this guy. So they come over, and I had a posse of them around me asking me what happened. And of course, I told him, I was like, I'm a drummer. I got a little mouthy with the band leader. But he was a jerk. And I mean, all I could say was, I call my sound man, my roadie, who's my regular guy. It's 2 a.m, and I call him, and I hear him, you know, this is landline days. He's like, hello. I'm like, Ralph, what's happening? What are you up to? I'm fucking sleeping, you know. And he came and got me and drove me home. And that's when you have a true brotherhood of musicians. Or he came and got me, and that story was like pretty funny. All of my friends who heard it were laughing. And it came back to bite the guy in the ass. about 2 years later, I was doing the worst New Year's Eve gig. He called me up. We mended fences. He calls me up, and I did a New Year's Eve gig, which is absolutely the unhappiest New Year's Eve of my life. I decided at that point, that night, that I will never do a gig on New Year's Eve for less than $1,000. Now, I've held to it for a long time now. I had it being sitting in a room with a bunch of drunk imbeciles who I don't know. I don't really dig the music I'm playing. I'm just there to dial it in. You know, it's like they had their book, and you walk in, and I just did my job. But it's hell when you're playing and you don't really like the band director. I'm a professional. I don't have to like him. I'll go in there and do whatever they want. But it's not something that I like to do. I think like JR and guys like you and myself, we treat our customers with a lot of respect, and we try to help them make the best project they can.
Well, yeah, and it's very true. And what I can tell you is in my life here, I mean, we talk about this all the time, Neil, that time is so valuable, and I'm very, like I said, I feel very I feel very blessed that you know a good amount of people still ask me to keep playing, but I just don't have that. I don't have that kind of time. This place has turned into a rock and roll machine in a good way. And by the way, everybody out there, if you want to check out what this place is, and by the way, as nice as the website is, it's actually nicer in person. It's www.bulletproofmusicstudio.com. Very easy. Check it out. And you'll get an idea of what Neil and I are actually talking about. So I got to guard my time, and I have business associates who basically will sit there and say, guard your time. And
that's the most valuable thing for everybody out there. Value your time with your family, value your time with your friends that you care about, because you just never know. And I mean, like, I don't need to be morbid. I just think about how JR just is like poofed out of our life. It's, you know, one of those weird things, you know, you just never think.
Well, what bothered me the most was that he was on a good track now. It was an amazing, now look, and I'm not saying it was because of that session. What I'm saying, though, that session might have something to do with
I think it spurred him on. You know, we've had this discussion because he always stood behind me in whatever I did with the band. He respected me to make the decisions, and sometimes other people would get like, well, Neil's a jerk, but it was just, I had to pay them, and I paid them before I paid myself always. So, you know, I don't listen to it. And JR just mentioned to them, well, you know, if you want to go out and book the band, sing 100% of the songs, or maybe 80, it's kind of Neil's band because he's just doing it. And that's all I was doing. I'm a relentless predator when it comes to trying to book my band. And I'm a friendly stalker. I mean, I'm persistently polite to people. I call them, I tell them right up front, look, if you don't want to be in the show, or you don't want to buy something I'm selling, don't. It's okay. You have ready, you know, I'm easy. I got plenty of things to do. If you want to work together, I really have reached the point. I just want to work with the people I want to work with. Don't get me wrong. So if somebody offers me great money to do something, of course I'd take it. But I don't have that drive to work that hard. I wouldn't be able to see my family as much. And, you know, you got only so many hours in the day, and you have to guard your time. As you
not only that, how I look at certain situations, again, time is so hard for me, but I've always looked at it even from my cover situation to original situation. And I know you guys are going to agree with me, is that you can only take a cover situation up to a point.
Exactly.
But if you're truly a musician, guys, an original thing is eternal. And what happens is a terrible original band has a better shot than a really good cover band, because they always have the shot to actually make a difference. And so I've always been that guy. I mean, listen, I do covers, but they're very, 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 very few and far between. It's with one band, and it's because a couple of the guys in that band are in my band, John's Crossing. So, you know, I love them. They're like my family. You can't say no. It's wrong to do something like that. But they're amazing people, and once again, you know, the place is jumping. I would just say, you know, guys, I can tell you till the cows come home, but probably my best advertisement is to come and see this place. I can't believe how lucky I am that I get to come and work here every single day of my life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, I really appreciate you coming on, giving us your time. Why don't you tell me one more time your web address for the studio?
Absolutely. Guys, it is, of course, www.bulletproofmusicstudio.com. Spelled all correctly. Bulletproof Music Studio. Please check it out. We've got a bunch of shows coming up. I also wanted to let you know something, Neil, that we also did, John's Crossing did a live, you know, because nobody does live albums anymore.
Right.
You know?
I know, that's true.
And it's crazy. So we're trying to set the precedent. So we're going to be putting out a live record in the spring, and I'm actually getting back to mixing it again. JR and I we took 4 songs and we started mixing them. Neil, I don't know if I even sent them to you, but if I didn't, I'm going to send them to you.
I like that.
But it also shows what this place can do from a video standpoint, which is absolutely amazing.
Well, we will have, you know, I think we're going to get to know each other a little better over time. I have a feeling, and I've got several ideas about I've been thinking about doing something live at your place for a long time, just doing a show live, being able to set up the set where I've got the couch and, you know, the band can play, and we're looking up our game as everybody. They're for everybody in the creative industry. Just all you have to do is look forward to relentlessly working and don't give up. Make sure your stuff is good. Don't fool yourself about how good it is. Be honest with yourself, self-actualized, and understand that you have professionals. We're here to help, and we can make a difference. And my co-producer has been a friend of mine for 40 years because 30, excuse me. I produced a record for her when she was a DJ in Florida, a big national level radio station. And she learned a lot, and she always comments. It makes me feel kind of funny. She's like, "Oh, you taught me everything I know." And I'm like, "No, I didn't." But you know, when we were in the studio, I just treated her like you want to be treated in the studio. And I find with most of us, I think anybody who gets to the level of time spent and dues paying, we're there to help, man. The last thing we need is some grumpy, you know, obnoxious guy in a band. I can't see myself going back to the $100 a night, carrying my gear in, and just not worth it. I mean, I'd much rather be at home looking at the ocean, you know?
Yeah,
in fact, sometime when the summer comes, I'd like to have you come down and check it out.
Listen, absolutely. And I will definitely take that invite. And guys, you're all invited if you ever want to stop in. That, you know, if you're, you know, I know one of your guys is in the New Jersey area and one of the guys is out, but listen, you guys are more than welcome to stop in, check out the website. And listen, any questions, I'm always going to be here. Look, I'm still running this place, and I know I have a bunch of hats on this place, but hey, somebody's got to do it. And Neil, listen, I hope
a great job.
Listen, I hope to see you soon. I definitely come down and let's run through this place and show people what it can actually do.
I do. I really did. I wanted to do it today, and maybe what we'll do is we'll shoot something off camera that's not live, and that way, if we have any, you know, thing that gets screwy. You were having a Christmas thing at your place, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, actually, we do. There's 2 things that are going on. We have this amazing. It's so funny because it's one of my favorite things. You're like, you're a musician. We actually have a Santa extravaganza coming up on December 4th, which is Neil. Neil, personally, I'm going to send you a picture. You're going to look at. You're going to be like, holy cow! It is something. But on December 11th, John's Crossing is going to be playing here, and it's going to be a Christmas show. But it's also the record release party. You know, we figured, we're going to have the record release party for Sign of the Sun. It's going to be a Christmas show. We're going to be doing a couple of Christmas songs, probably some Eagles, some Billy Squier. And
I'd like to comment actually that event and I'll shoot some footage and we'll have, you know, we'll put it out there. Our whole month is devoted to Christmas. I have a really great lineup coming up. I'll just say some pretty heavy people that have been on before, and we'll say something. Hopefully I'll have Waddy Wachtel on. I'm working on that. And
Well, listen,
Waddy's.
you are listen. You are more than welcome. It's going to be a great show. We're going to do, and please, I don't want everybody to think it's just a Christmas show. We are going to be doing probably about 11, 12 John's Crossing show songs off the 2 records. Probably like about
For everybody listening, you want to hear his record, believe me. And John, you are a fantastic guitar player, and we have to go. It's 11:30. We're actually a minute over, but you know what? You were great fun having you on, and I have a feeling we could talk about fixing and production and music and all that stuff for hours. I mean, it's a good thing I don't drink anymore. I can sit all night.
Anyway, listen, it was my pleasure. Guys, it was my pleasure meeting everybody today.
All right, everyone. Well, we're going to go out of here, and thank you very much for being with us. This is Live with Neve. We're closing up. We'll be back at 4 o'clock. Today at 4 o'clock, we have the inimitable Raspen Stewart. So we'll see you in a bit. Bye-bye, everyone. Okay. All right, everybody.